What if I told you that one of America's closest partners in the Middle East is quietly building one of the most important economic relationships of the 21st century, with China? For decades, the United Arab Emirates was firmly aligned with the West. Its security depended on the United States, its oil was traded in dollars, and Western companies played a major role in its development. But today, China is becoming one of the UAE's largest trading partners, a major investor in its technology sector, and a key player in its future economic strategy. So what's driving this shift? And what could it mean for India and the rest of the world? Let's break it down. Part 1. Why the UAE historically leaned west. To understand what's happening today, we need to look at the past. Since the discovery of oil in the 1950s and 1960s, Gulf nations including the UAE built close relationships with Western countries. The United States provided security guarantees in a volatile region. Western companies helped develop oil infrastructure. And global energy markets operated primarily in US dollars. This arrangement benefited everyone. The UAE gained access to technology, investment, and military protection, while the West secured stable energy supplies. But over the past decade, several things began to change. First, China became the world's largest importer of energy and an increasingly important customer for Gulf oil producers. Second, the UAE launched an ambitious plan to diversify its economy beyond oil. And third, the global economy became more multipolar. Instead of relying on one major partner, countries like the UAE began pursuing relationships with multiple powers simultaneously. The result? The UAE didn't abandon the West, but it started looking east as well. Part 2. The key sectors driving UAE-China cooperation. Now let's look at where this partnership is actually creating value. Artificial intelligence. The UAE has positioned itself as one of the most ambitious AI adopters in the world. It was among the first countries to appoint a Minister of Artificial Intelligence and has invested heavily in digital infrastructure. China, meanwhile, is a global AI powerhouse with expertise in machine learning, smart cities, facial recognition systems, and industrial automation. For the UAE, cooperation with Chinese firms provides access to technology, research partnerships, and large-scale implementation experience. The goal is simple: transform the UAE from an oil-based economy into a knowledge and innovation-driven economy. At first glance, it might seem strange that an oil-producing nation is investing heavily in renewables. But the UAE understands that the future energy mix will be more diverse. China dominates global supply chains for solar panels, batteries, and many clean energy technologies. By working with Chinese companies, the UAE can accelerate its renewable energy ambitions while reducing dependence on hydrocarbons over the long term. This is not just about climate policy. It's about preparing for the next phase of global energy competition. Telecommunications and digital infrastructure. Perhaps the most strategically sensitive area is telecommunications. Chinese technology firms have become major players in 5G networks, cloud services, smart city projects, and digital infrastructure. For the UAE, these technologies support its vision of becoming a regional hub for finance, logistics, and digital services. Modern economies run on data. And whoever builds the digital infrastructure often gains long-term influence. That's why this sector attracts so much international attention. Part 3. The Petroyuan and what it means for India and the world. Now let's talk about one of the most discussed topics in global finance, the Petroyuan. For decades, most international oil transactions have been priced and settled in US dollars. This system helped reinforce the dollar's role as the world's dominant reserve currency. But China has been encouraging some energy exporters to accept payments in Chinese yuan instead. This concept is often called the Petroyuan. If more oil trade moves into yuan-based settlement, it doesn't mean the dollar suddenly disappears. However, it could gradually create a more diversified global financial system. For India, the implications are significant. India imports large amounts of energy from the Gulf. A world where trade can be settled in multiple currencies could offer greater flexibility and potentially reduce exposure to currency volatility. At the same time, It could make international finance more complex as businesses and governments navigate multiple payment systems and reserve currencies. For the rest of the world, the bigger story is diversification. Rather than a single dominant economic center, we're seeing the emergence of multiple financial and economic hubs. Conclusion: the UAE-China relationship is about much more than trade. It's a reflection of a changing world, one where countries increasingly balance relationships across East and West, while investing in the industries that will define the future. Artificial intelligence, renewable energy, digital infrastructure, and potentially even new ways of conducting global trade. The question is no longer whether the global economy is changing. The question is how quickly. So what do you think? Is the growing UAE-China partnership a smart strategy for both countries, or could it create new geopolitical tensions in the future? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into global economics and geopolitics.